But anyway, let's look at this in Luke chapter 4. It says in verse number 5, and the devil taketh him up into a high mountain and showed unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. Now that's pretty amazing. Somehow all the kingdoms of the world flash before his eyes. I mean, and he sees all the glory of them. Just in one moment of time, it's like he's able to just freeze time and just show him all these different kingdoms of the whole world in a moment of time. Now, some people say, well, that's a really high mountain if you can see that. Well, no, because it doesn't matter how high the mountain is, you can't see that far. Okay, but anyway, it's a miracle because it all happens in a moment of time. And look what it says. The devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee, and the glory of them. But this is what's interesting. For that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will, I give it. That's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? If thou therefore wilt worship me, all shall be thine. And Jesus answered and said unto him, get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. So here we see that he's appealing to his pride, right? He's appealing to pride. And even people who aren't controlled by their physical lust and they don't want to just gratify themselves with junk food and drugs and alcohol and porno and fornication and adultery and whatever else that they just want to indulge in. Other people, their drug of choice is power. They want power. They want to be famous. They want to be a great person in the world and a celebrity. And they want to make millions of dollars and control great businesses and have all kinds of servants and all these different things. Power is another pursuit of carnal man in this world. And so this is another temptation that we need to beware of. And let me tell you something. There are people that I believe have made this deal with the devil. The rock band AC/DC, they had an album called We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll. And some of these bands, their music is so bad, that's the only way to explain their success, is the selling of the soul to Satan. Because the music is such garbage. So the point is that, there are people out there who have decided to forfeit any kind of service for God, loving God, obeying God. None of that matters to them. All they want is the power, the riches, the glory. They want the devil to give them something. And the devil has a lot to offer. He really does. Because the devil controls Hollywood, the devil controls Madison Avenue, the devil controls the media. And so these musicians, you'll notice that that's why if you turn on the radio and listen to the popular music, you'll find that all of it has some element of wickedness to it. And you wonder to yourself, why is it all so wicked? Why can't you just listen to it and just have some good, clean music? It's not there because of the fact that the way that those people get to the position that they're in is through the power of the devil. Because of the fact that the people who promote the bands and promote the music are people who want to push a sinful agenda. So if the musicians are putting out sinful music, that's who they're going to promote. And if people were putting out good, clean music, they're not going to push that stuff. Because the people who control the music industry, the television, and Hollywood, they have an agenda. Look, if you controlled Hollywood, wouldn't you have an agenda? I know I would. I mean, if I were in control of Hollywood, I'd be putting out all these biblical films, You'd be producing all this stuff that's all pointing people to the Lord Jesus Christ, and it's all promoting the family, and it's against wickedness and against sin. It's going to make all the sin look bad. It's going to make church and the Bible look good. That'd be my agenda if I were running it, right? So here's the thing. These people who hate the Lord, they're atheists, they're Jewish, whatever. They don't like Jesus Christ. They don't like the Bible. They're not going to make it look good. They're going to make it look bad. And you say, well, the musicians that are popular are just the best ones. That's not true. There's some pretty lame stuff that gets pretty popular. And there's a lot of talent, and there are a lot of people that are great musicians that they never get anywhere in their career. Why? It's because it's the promoters, it's the advertisers. I mean, no matter how good your music is, if it's not on the shelf in Barnes & Noble, if it's not being promoted in Walmart when you walk in the door, not nearly as many people are going to find out about it. But the certain musicians and acts that the devil wants to promote, he's going to put them right there on that display case in every record store, in every music store. It's going to be a giant banner ad on Amazon. It's going to be a banner ad on iTunes. It's going to be a banner ad on YouTube, because that's the agenda they want to promote. That's why the gangster rap was promoted. Not by just people in the ghetto, just grassroots made that happen. No, a bunch of big bucks, record companies and record executives and managers, they got together and said, hey, let's promote this stuff. Let's make this stuff popular. Let's put this on the map. And they polluted the minds of a generation of inner city young people with all the garbage that gangster rap promotes, and all of just the mistreating of women, and just drinking and glorifying drugs, glorifying gangs, glorifying violence. Why did that stuff get popular? It's being pushed, it's being promoted, and the musicians who produce that stuff have sold out to the devil. Yep. Right. They don't care how they make a buck, they just want to make the money. And if music sells that promotes the worst kind of violence and filth and smut, then that's what they'll produce, because they just want that power. They just want that fame. They just want that wealth. And the businessmen are just as unscrupulous, the ones who are behind the scenes pulling the strings. These musicians, they're not smart enough to run their own show. A lot of them, they've got guys in suits that you never hear about, that are the ones that are making sure it's on every radio station, and it's on MTV, and it's in every record store. And maybe I'm speaking from the past, because I don't even know if record stores even exist anymore, because I think now everybody just buys it online. I mean, do people go to the store and buy a CD anymore? Like of music, typically? Where would they go? Do they go to like a Barnes & Noble, or do they, where? Zia Records? I've never even heard of that. Is that just an Arizona thing, maybe? Okay. Yeah, because when I was a kid, there were record stores everywhere. You'd physically go to the brick and mortar, because it was before all the electronic. But the point is that, people have made this deal with the devil. And I'm not saying necessarily that the devil literally came to them and said, all right, sign right here with your own blood and it's your soul and everything like that. But what I'm saying is that even if they didn't do this literally, they did it figuratively. They did it figuratively. But maybe many of them did it literally too. I don't know. But I will say this, they certainly did it figuratively. There's no question about that. And the temptation is even there for a preacher to do what? Trim the message. Cut out the parts of the Bible that are not popular. Preach what people want to hear. Compromise the doctrine. And then what? They can have the mega church, and they can get on TV and TBN, and they can have all of the expensive clothes and the expensive mansion and the drive around in limousines and stuff like that. But they have to preach lies to do it. And the devil's the father of all lies. That's right. And so we see these three temptations are pretty close to home to all of us, because all of us could be tempted to give in to the lust of the flesh in one area or another. And maybe one thing's not your problem. Maybe you don't struggle in the area of the lust of the eyes, but you might struggle in the area of gluttony, or you might struggle in the area of drinking, or you might struggle with drugs, or whatever the case may be. You might struggle with laziness. I mean, it's also a battle with the flesh to get yourself to go to work. So whatever your struggle is, that temptation's close to home. The struggle of being tempted to show off, or to live dangerously just to get kicks or to impress your friends, especially for young people, that's a big temptation. The temptation for the pride of life and to have great power and to be lifted up with pride. That's something that older people would struggle with. As they get into middle age and get older, they want to have more power, more riches, and hopefully they won't compromise with the devil in order to achieve that.